Hey there, class. It's Derek back again for a short video. This time I'm going to talk about some of the department's research that is going on, mostly related to supported education. Um, a good deal of this is outlined in the online book this week that is about supported ed. I thought I'd make a video about it. I was hoping to interview the principal investigator of the study, Michelle Mullen, but didn't get the chance to. So since I work on the study and have some involvement with the other studies, I thought I could do a fairly representative job of describing the research that's going on. So, um, most of the research is guided by, as I said, Michelle Mullen, who is a faculty member, a professor on the faculty here at Rutgers in the Department of Counseling, Department of Psych Rehab and Counseling Professions. So the first study that we had commissioned by us from the group called NIDR, which is the National Institute for Disability Rehabilitation and Research, that is the acronym. They funded this study called Effectiveness of Educational Supports on the Retention of Post-Secondary Students with Psychiatric Disabilities. What that means is it was the first large-scale study that looked at the supported education intervention. And compared it to kind of sort of treatment as usual. So it was a randomized controls trial, otherwise known as an RCT, which is sort of the gold standard for the type of research that you want to have when you're trying to make the case for an evidence-based practice to become that evidence-based. So what this study did was it partnered with the mental health agencies that offered supported education. We trained them in supported ed, and then as people entered those programs, they were randomly assigned to either get enhanced supported education, which is a full complement of services aimed at helping the person choose, get, and keep an educational goal. So that was sort of the experimental condition that we were testing. And the control condition would get what we called the basic condition, which was just some practical information we call psychoeducation about campus mental health services that might be available to them in the community. So that study has since concluded. I don't have any of the data yet on that study, but what that study, the reason why that study was really important is through doing this study and gathering the research, the team in the department began to think about this idea that maybe it's not psychiatric symptoms that are causing college students, to fall behind compared to the people in their classes without disabilities. Because when asked, they were reporting that it was the same kind of things that students without disabilities struggle with: trouble focusing, trouble paying attention, concentration, managing their time, those types of things that fall under what we would call executive functioning deficits. So Michelle applied for more funding and received it, and we started working on a study called Developing Executive Functioning Through Cognitive Remediation for College Students with Psychiatric Disabilities. That's where I joined the department. So once they got that funding, they were looking for a cognitive specialist, somebody that knew psych rehab and could deliver a cognitive remediation intervention. So something focused on improving people's attention, concentration, focus, and memory, problem-solving abilities, things of that nature. It's a manual that I work with college students on going through over the course of 12 weeks. Again, it's randomized, so people come into the study are randomized to either get the cognitive remediation or a control condition, which is a meeting with me to review the scores of the cognitive testing that we do. So is a manualized intervention. If you think about cognitive remediation, it's sort of hot in today's world. If you've seen the Lumosity commercials, Lumosity is a computer-based cognitive remediation training program. What I do is a manualized, so I have a manual that I teach people. We do one-on-one meetings for an hour a week for 12 weeks, and at the end of that, we assess them again. We look at their grades. We see, did their grades go up? And did they perform better in these cognitive battery of tests that we administer when they first come into the study? It's been a really, really interesting experience working on this study for the last going on 3 years now. I've learned a lot about learning and how people learn and the best way to prepare people to learn. So um, while that was going on, Michelle applied for funding to do a third project that was also accepted. This was the biggest one so far, and this is called a manual and training program to promote careers among transition age youth and young adults with psychiatric conditions. Um, in this grant, Rutgers University partnered with University of Massachusetts, um, and they are basically creating a manual to best serve transition age youth, people aging out of the children's foster system and the mental health systems that are available to people under 18, and when they get into the adult system, there's often this gap there, often where people are lost, so to speak. So if people graduate from high school and don't get a job right away or don't go right to college, a lot of times if we don't catch people in that period of time, they end up in mental health programs or on Social Security, the outcomes that we're not looking for. So um, basically this career development manual, and then there'll be a training program, will integrate supported education and vocational rehabilitation or supported employment to best serve and support transition age youth. It's really cool. So I've had minimal contact on this study, but I do know it involves three major aspects. There is a scoping literature review where they go through literally every single paper that might reference things that would help this population and look for every possible resource in a very systematic way. It's extremely exhaustive. Then they're going to be doing a promising practices survey. So they'll be surveying transition age youth to best find out what types of things have helped them. So they'll be also actually interviewing people that are older that have sort of gotten past that age frame to see in retrospect what they've learned. So if you think of that term, promising practices survey, we think of evidence-based, right? Before it's evidence-based, it's a best practice often. A promising practice is sort of even before that. So, what the research is trying to do is move towards an evidence-based way of assisting this population, the transition age youth population, move into careers. So that is really how I hope we can kind of see the tie-in between what just research, different universities and entities conducting research, and how emerging best practices and evidence-based practices tie in. So that's sort of a summary of three of the major projects involving supported education in our department going on right now. If you have any more questions, send me an email, especially about the executive functioning, the COG-REM study. That's the one I'm most in contact with. That's my main role, actually, with the university. I hope you enjoyed this, and again, let me know if you have any questions.